video in ages. This is my Range Rover L322. I've owned this vehicle. Well, I've owned this car twice. It's the second time I've owned this vehicle. I sold this a couple of years ago and regretted it ever since. And I got the opportunity to buy it back a couple of months back, so I bought it back. I gave 1,500 quid for this. She's done 177,000 miles, full service history, and everything works on this car. Everything. This is the only reason I bought this one back, because I thought, well, better the devil you know than the one you don't know. These are slowly starting to climb in value again now. People are starting to pick them up again. But one of them, would I have another car, or would I have this car again? If I had the chance, I never would have sold it all them years ago. I should have kept it. What can I tell you about my Rangey, other than the fact I love it for a start? So comfy. You can't find a better car on the road for the money that gives you the ride that these give you. They are expensive to run, without a doubt. Anyone tells you they're not, they're lying. They do have issues, but this car wants for nothing. It gets everything it's ever needed. Ball joints, brake pipes, brake shoes, pads, discs, everything, all the time. When I bought this car back, the guy I sold it to, he neglected it, to tell you the truth. He didn't service it, he'd let it run down, the air suspension had give up on it, the compressor had gone weak, he'd smashed one of the front lights, he's nicked me side steps off it, he's nicked me alloys off it. Wasn't best pleased, but when I bought it back, she had some money thrown at her. So she's had full engine service, every filter you name of, fuel filter, air filter, cabin filter, crankcase breather filter, everything. It's had all the oils done, coolant change, engine oil. It's had the gearbox oil done 4,000 miles ago, and I've just done it again, because she's getting high miles now for one of these, and she's still on the original box. So I'm trying to keep it alive. I've put a fresh set of oil in there, and she is pretty good now. And she drives like a dream, drives like it was new. Doing 40 mile an hour, and she just wafts on down the road like there's no tomorrow. And she does move as well if you really put your foot down. Into sports mode, into manual, and she does just waft on down the road like it's no tomorrow. So that was another thing actually. When I got this back, it was running on 5 cylinders. There was an injector down apparently when I bought it back, and she had no power whatsoever. After slowly going through it all, diagnosing this, that and the other, I managed to identify the problem, and all it was a lug switch on the injector. One of the lugs had basically got old, and it wasn't making connection to the injector. But the chap I'd sold it to took it to Range Rover specialist, blah blah blah, and offered him to quote him considerable money to change his injectors round, tell him he needed new injectors, this, that and the other. And there was nothing wrong with the injector, it was just the lug on the wiring loom that had just gone a bit shitty. So they put a new one of them on there. Well, I put a new one of them on there, and it's been fine ever since. She's back running on all 6 cylinders now. This is the BMW engine, 3 litre turbo diesel 6, and yeah, it is my Rangey. Probably one of the best ones you'll find for the mileage, considering it's got all the service history, everything's been done, it's wanted for nothing. It was originally owned by a chap in London, and it come out of Essex, and the money's down there in it, so they'd spent a lot of money keeping it on the road. Then it was sold off, and then it went to specialists, so-and-so for servicing, and the last 3 or 4 service I do all the way myself. So it's all been done myself, and yeah, she wants for nothing. This is my, well, it's my baby is what it is. She looks after me and I look after it. Cost me an absolute fortune to keep this thing on the road, but it wants for nothing. Everything it wants, it gets. I haven't had any major trouble with this car, but since I bought it, it's had considerable money spent on it. The only one thing I do have, the light keeps coming on the dashboard, and that's the fuel light. She absolutely loves the juice. She just, as she's going down the road, she just seems to go and just sucks all my fuel away. So that is my only light that I have on the dashboard on a regular basis, and that's my fuel light. But would I change it for something else? No, I really wouldn't. It's so comfy, it drives so nice, and fingers crossed, it has never let me down. Every time I need to go in it, it's ready to go. It just drives, it goes, it stops. I haven't had any issues with it, not major issues. They all have the electrical gremlins, as they call them. The latest problem I seem to have is my air suspension won't rise. But if you ever do buy one of these and you're playing with the air suspension, always go up before you go down. Because if she won't go up, and you put it down first, and she won't come back up, so you end up on your bump stops. So always go up before you go down, because if she goes up, she's fine, she can go back down. But last time I went to go and put this up, she won't go up. So she's riding normal on the normal ride height at the minute, but plugged it into my diagnostics. I don't have any codes come up, but I can go into live data and I can see the compressor tank pressure, and she's sitting at around 130 psi, which should be enough, but ideally they want to be around 170. So I've got a feeling that my compressor is slowly getting weak, so that's going to be where my next load of money is going to be spent on this. But you can buy a kit on eBay for 10-15 quid and you can rebuild the compressor, and it's not a difficult job. I have done it in the past, and I'll put a link for that actually in the description if anyone wants to buy one. They are quite handy things to have. Other than that, she's pretty good. She does everything I want it to do. She's a workhorse is what she is. She looks after me, she runs my trailers, she pulls my heavy equipment, and she's good. Do you mean she's on an original gearbox and she's on 170,000 miles, and fingers crossed, touch wood, I haven't had any issues with it. The gearbox is good, but I do religiously change my oil in the gearbox, and that does keep it going for a lot longer, which does prove a point. If you look after your stuff, it will look after you. It won't break. You see these people all the time with 90,000 miles and the gearbox is gone, and probably never had an oil change in his life, where this does get a lot of oil changes. She's, like I say, she's on 177,000 miles with original gearbox, which is quite good going for one of these. But she just drives so smooth. That's the only reason I like this car. I wouldn't change it for anything else. Well, I might change it for a Rolls Royce or something, but I wouldn't change it for anything else. The way price of diesel is in this country, though, I'm considering trying to find somewhere where I can get cheaper fuel. But at the moment, with the war with Ukraine and Russia, I think we're going to be stuck with expensive fuel for quite a while at the moment. But OPEC haven't helped, have they? They haven't turned the taps on, so we all are being conned, considering the price of diesel in Russia is 40 pence a litre, and here in the UK it's now nearly £1.80 a litre, which is just ridiculous, really. But she just drives so smooth. I do love this car. I don't know if I've mentioned it, but I bought this car last year, a couple of years ago, and I sold it. And I sold it to a chap who neglected it. He just absolutely neglected it, and it come to a point where I was looking to buy another one, and I was going around trying to find it, and the prices of them are just slowly creeping up now. And to find a good one is considerably difficult to do. Something that you know's been looked after well, and I know this one had been looked after up until the previous owner. He didn't service it, he neglected it, he just drove it, ragged and shagged it, and now I've got it back. She's took about £800 to £1,000 to put it back right now, and she's now smooth as a nut again. She does everything I want it to do, everything's fixed on it, other than my air suspension that's just started to slow down again, so that needs doing. But other than that, she's pretty good. So if you look after them, they will look after you. It's people you see all the time. They go out and buy one of these, and you forget this is an £80,000 car when it was new. Don't think you're going to be able to service it for 50p. You know, they're going to cost some money to maintain them, and if you don't maintain it, that's when you're having issues. You see them all the time, people with no service history, this, that and the other, and they're just ragged and they're broke, and they don't work. This is like, say, 170,000 miles, it's a full service history. Oil gets changed religiously every year, and she drives as smooth as anything. So it does prove a point. You do look after them, they don't break down as common or as easily as some of the other ones that you see that haven't been looked after. Well, yeah, thanks very much for watching, and that's the end of my Range Rover video.